were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric.
Put a chick in it, make her get.
On one side, you had Rachel Zegler, the young star still bruised from Disney's Snow White disaster. On the other, two comedy veterans who've made it their life's work to drag every pop culture figure straight through the mud without a second thought. The whole thing exploded when South Park aired an absolutely savage episode mocking all the chaos that surrounded Rachel's so-called updated version of Disney's iconic princess. And Parker and Stone, oh, they didn't pull any punches.
There's no doubt that she drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails.
The episode dialed up the craziness to insane levels. They turned online gossip into full-on cartoon mayhem. Animated Rachel strutted through a fantasy kingdom, smartphone flashing like some kind of royal scepter, dropping hot takes on history, Hollywood power games, and culture wars like it was open season. Every scene hit harder than the last, and it all climaxed in a wild musical number that basically roasted every big-budget remake out there. Fans, they were dying laughing, but the real Rachel, yet she wasn't laughing, not even close. At first, insiders whispered that she would probably just shrug it off. She's smart, they said. She knows how South Park works. But that optimism, it didn't last. Just days later, TMZ dropped a bomb. Rachel Zegler files a $100 million, 0 cents, lawsuit over the South Park episode. People thought, no way, it's just a scare tactic to wring out an apology, maybe get the episode pulled quietly. But oh no, Rachel's lawyers came swinging like they were in a heavyweight championship. The court papers? Brutal. The accusations? Even worse. Rachel's legal team claimed the episode didn't just joke about her, it absolutely demolished her career and image, painting her as some entitled, clueless diva who single-handedly wrecked Snow White.
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lit.
And Rachel wasn't playing around. The lawsuit called out specific animated scenes, like the one where cartoon Rachel pockets cash from the movie's budget, while a sarcastic narrator quips about $40 million 0 cent snack budgets. Rachel's team said this wasn't just mean, it was maliciously false, and they had receipts. They pointed to real fallout, saying job offers dried up almost immediately after the episode aired. One studio even told her team they had to wait for things to cool off because of how toxic the cartoon made her look. To Rachel's camp, this wasn't just free speech, this was real-life damage to her money, her reputation, her future. Meanwhile, as news of the lawsuit flooded Hollywood, Trey Parker and Matt Stone were in a writer's room in Culver City working on their next season. Every phone in that building started buzzing at the same time. Alerts from Deadline, Variety, TMZ. They locked eyes across the room, annoyed, but also a little amused. They've survived furious religious groups, furious celebrities, furious corporations, but a single actor slapping them with a 9-figure lawsuit? That was new. One writer cracked a joke. Guess we're finally worth $100 million, 0 cents each. Everyone laughed. Nervously, because underneath the jokes, there was real tension. Parker and Stone knew the game had changed. In the late 90s, South Park could get away with just about anything. Wild satire tucked away on late-night cable. Today, every joke goes viral in minutes. Every clip gets dissected on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. If a court decided their Snow White parody crossed the line into defamation, it wouldn't just sting. It could destroy them, including their massive Paramount Plus deal, rumored to be close to $1 billion. Suddenly, South Park's legendary motto, "Nothing's off limits," was being tested like never before. And let's talk about the internet meltdown. Fans were split right down the middle. Half the internet, they were writing for Rachel, calling her brave for standing up against what they said was unchecked animation harassment. They painted her as a modern-day David facing 2 Goliaths of comedy. The other half, they were furious, screaming that Parker and Stone were the last true defenders of unfiltered comedy, rallying behind the viral hashtag, "Satire is not slander." Late-night talk show hosts had a field day with it. Princess versus paper cutouts, they joked. Cable news dragged in panels of legal experts asking the million-dollar question, can a cartoon really be defamation? Meanwhile, inside the South Park offices, it was full lockdown mode. Parker and Stone turned their conference room into a war room. Their first gut instinct, mock the whole thing in an episode? Because that's how they've survived every scandal before. But their lawyers slammed the brakes hard. Anything they joked about now could be seen as retaliation, and that could blow the lawsuit wide open. So, for once, Trey and Matt chose the unthinkable, silence. Publicly, at least. Behind closed doors, they were sketching out wild ideas. A puppet trial where cartoon versions of themselves testified, a sad ballad called Sue Me Gently, courtroom sketches that looked like they were drawn by a 5-year-old, but all of it stayed locked in a vault, waiting. Meanwhile, Rachel was reportedly bouncing between fierce resolve and sheer exhaustion. People close to her said it wasn't just about money. It was about sending a message. I'm not an easy target. She didn't want to spend her career being the punchline to a meme. Critics rolled their eyes. Come on, even Tom Cruise, Kanye, and the Queen got roasted harder. But her defenders clapped back. Those people had decades of loyal fans and huge empires to cushion them. Rachel? She was still building her career. One bad viral moment could define her forever. As the lawsuit wound its way through the LA court system, Parker and Stone finally cracked their silence, but just barely. They issued a two-limb statement. We believe strongly in the right to parody public figures and public events. We look forward to a vigorous defense of that right. No jokes, no barbs, just cold, professional defiance. But insiders whispered that once the legal leash was off, Parker and Stone were ready to roast this entire saga harder than anything they'd ever done. Legal experts were already buzzing. Everything was going to hinge on one brutal question. Where exactly is the line between savage satire and defamation? Previous court rulings usually protected comedians if their jokes were so over the top that no reasonable person would take them seriously. But this case, it was dancing on a razor's edge. In that South Park episode, animated Rachel sang a crazy song bragging about how she rewrote all the classic Snow White scenes just to cash bigger checks. Sure, it sounded absurd. Fans laughed it off as classic South Park insanity. But Rachel's legal team, they were ready with receipts. They pulled actual social media posts, real people believing Rachel had literally hijacked the movie to boost her paycheck. Her lawyers claimed this wasn't just satire anymore, it distorted reality, and it hurt her. But Parker and Stone fired back even harder. They dumped mountains of screenshots showing way more fans calling the episode obviously ridiculous. Their argument? Come on. Nobody with half a brain thinks South Park is a documentary. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Disney started panicking. Even though Disney wasn't named in the lawsuit, insiders said execs were sweating bullets. Because if court subpoenas started flying around, they could be forced to hand over production notes and email chains about the Snow White reboot. Imagine Disney's secrets about their $200 million 0-cent Snow White gamble spilling out into public court documents. No wonder their legal team was already prepping battle plans to shut it all down. Meanwhile, the court set an actual trial date early next year. And everyone in Hollywood noticed the timing. If Rachel landed any new acting gigs before the trial, boom, the scandal would explode again during red carpet season. And South Park, they'd be just in time to clap back during their next season. The chess game was on. Entertainment lawyers whispered that the lawsuit might quietly settle behind closed doors because honestly, dragging this into a jury trial would be nuclear for both sides. But Parker and Stone, oh, they were digging in. Sources close to the pair said they absolutely refused to settle. Trey Parker even told a friend, if we pay up now, the next joke dies before we even write it. Their stance electrified free speech warriors across the country. Even the ACLU jumped in, filing an amicus brief siding with the South Park creators. Their argument was chilling. If powerful people could legally block satire, it would destroy the public's ability to challenge what celebrities and corporations were really doing behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Rachel's team tried to steer the conversation differently. Instead of attacking free speech, they spun it like this. This wasn't about killing comedy. It was about one young woman standing up for herself when jokes crossed into career destruction. And Rachel? She decided to go public herself. During a late-night talk show appearance, she sat down, visibly emotional but composed, and poured her heart out. She said she respected satire. She loved, but what she couldn't accept was reckless distortion that made real people believe things that could wreck her future. The audience was dead silent. Her honesty sparked a fresh wave of headlines. Some called her courageous. Others, they slammed her as oversensitive, another soft celebrity who couldn't handle a joke. And online, it was a total bloodbath. Team Rachel and Teams South Park battled it out nonstop. Memes flying, TikToks roasting, YouTube rants dropping by the hour. Trolls and defenders turned every thread into a screaming match. Meanwhile, reasoned voices trying to explain both sides were completely drowned out. When the pre-trial hearing finally rolled around, the courtroom looked like a media circus. Reporters shoved and elbowed for spots. Cameras flashed nonstop. Trey Parker and Matt Stone rolled in wearing sleek, understated suits, but couldn't resist throwing a little chaos into the mix. Matt wore a tie covered in tiny cartoon paper cutouts. Trey rocked cufflinks shaped like miniature TVs. Absolute chaos kings. Rachel entered separately, flanked by her legal team, rocking a sharp navy blazer and steely determination. When their eyes met, just for a second, nobody could tell what flashed between them. Was it rage, fear, hope for peace? Impossible to say. Inside the courtroom, things got heated fast. Rachel's lawyers hammered hard on a specific gag, the one where cartoon studios flung piles of cash at animated Rachel while she screamed, "Modernization isn't cheap, peasants." They argued this scene wasn't funny. It made viewers believe Rachel was a greedy diva demanding diva-level perks behind the scenes. Parker and Stone's defense team hit back without mercy. This is South Park. This show has talking towels and tricycles with time machines. No sane person thinks it's real, and they weren't wrong. South Park had built its brand on absurdity. If this show couldn't be ridiculous, what show could? The defense leaned hard into free speech arguments. They warned the court, if satire couldn't push boundaries, creativity itself would die. The judge didn't throw the case out. Instead, he made a middle ground ruling. A jury would have to decide if an average viewer could tell this was parody or if it blurred into something more dangerous. Neither side was thrilled. Both sides knew this was going to trial. Outside the courthouse, the tension was palpable. Parker and Stone stayed chill, flashing casual confidence to reporters. Rachel stayed firm, too, vowing to stand up for truth and accountability. But it wasn't just a legal battle anymore. This had become a cultural war. A war over free speech. A war over who gets to joke and who gets to say, that's not funny anymore. A war about whether internet memes could end a career and who's responsible when they do. And as Hollywood watched with bated breath, one thing was absolutely crystal clear. No matter who won in court, nothing in the entertainment industry was ever going to be the same again.